Just recently, Honda is dwindling its workforce in China. I thought that was pretty big news, but no. They kept moving. The same day, Honda announces that IBM and Honda is joining together to create a joint venture to make custom chips for their future EVs. But guys, these two are just literally appetizers for what just dropped. Over on YouTube, Honda just laid out an hours-long 2024 business briefing, but I captured the most amazing slides of the whole event. And so in this video, we're going to break down the future of Honda. If you're excited for Honda's future, like I am, smash the heck out of that like button, and we have a lot to go over. Grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in, and let's cheers to Honda. All right, let's get into the most exciting spot here of this whole presentation, which is talking about new models we didn't know were coming. Okay, so never before have we seen these models other than the Saloon. Now, what's interesting is that Honda has not said that the Space Hub is even in here. I would assume the Space Hub would be the large 3-row sized SUV. That's if it's something different, if it's like a Honda Pilot as an EV, that's an option too. But I think the 0 Series models are very futuristic, and just making an EV Honda Pilot doesn't make sense to me. All right, so this is more than likely that Space Hub 3-row large SUV. The space on the inside is very much like a minivan, possibly even bigger. All right, so check this out. We only knew of the Saloon coming in 2026, the dustbuster looking vehicle. But we actually have 2 more Honda 0 Series models. This is not including Acura. This is not including the Afeela lineup either. So we're just going to have a ton of variety from Honda EVs starting in 2026, not only from Honda, but Afeela and Acura on top of this. All we know, though, is what's coming for Honda by 2030. Okay, so this is the Saloon. We know a lot about this, at least 300 miles of range, extremely efficient, and very low to the ground. But we also have Honda's hedging their bets. They can't just have one vehicle coming out. This is the flagship, mind you. The Saloon is the flagship. We're going to have 2 more SUVs coming in 2026. So we'll have a CRV-sized SUVs and an entry-level SUV, kind of like an HRV. Completely unexpected from me anyways. So we'll have a CRV 0 Series and an HRV 0 Series. Are they going to call them that? Probably not. But those are going to be the same relative size. What kind of range could we see from here? I have no idea. And if we're talking an entry-level SUV, we're talking probably the Equinox sort of fighter. So around $30,000, but better efficiency. That would be my guess. So you could still see about 300 miles of range on this entry-level SUV. A mid-size SUV, it's hard to say if they would make the battery pack larger here. That is yet to be determined. I would assume it would be the same battery pack that we see in the Saloon flagship. So the range would be almost guaranteed lower here. And then this will have a much larger battery pack on this Space Hub concept coming out just a year after. I'm looking for, as a journalist, I'm looking into 2026. I'm like, how is Honda going to have 3 separate events for me to go to for these 3 separate vehicles? Or are they just going to have one big like media drive event where they're going to launch all of them around the same time frame? Like, this is just hurting my head to think about, because we're just talking about Honda, not Afeela, not Acura. Past 2028, so 2028, remember, that is when they start using gigacasting on the front area, the rear area, on top of what was already gigacasted, which was the battery pack. All right, so these last 3 models here are going to be interesting. What I'm trying to figure out is, what is the freaking difference between this model and this model compared to what we already have here? Unless these are branded as Acura, I just don't understand. But we're going to have potentially 4 SUVs that are fully battery electric from Honda in a 3-year span, all around the same size. My mind is kind of going blank here. I don't know how they separate themselves from entry-level SUV and small size SUV from all and compact SUV. So also you guys try to figure that out with your, I don't know, speculation down below. And then by 2030, a Civic-sized vehicle, not going to call it the Civic quite yet, but a Civic-sized vehicle will have as a sedan that's fully electric. It looks like it has a lift back here, but this is very early. I mean, this is not even a concept. These are just placeholder little thumbnail things here. So I am really, really excited for Honda. And this announcement here blew me away. I'm still trying to get over it. Now, over in China, even though they're reducing employees, we have 3 new models coming after 2026. I mean, it just doesn't matter for us. Honda's naming is a joke. It seems like these are going to be, I think they were canceled in Europe, the ENS1, or at least the naming of those vehicles. And they're going to launch their Yeah stuff, the Yeah S7 and the Yeah GT and the Yeah P7. Again, doesn't matter. I'm not even going to cover that more than that. This is potentially pretty exciting here because we could be getting electric scooters and electric motorcycles from Honda in the near future, but there's not a lot on this presentation about them. This K-Car EV minivan is coming this year in 2024 as well. But all this stuff is pretty much for Japan with the mobile power pack. And I saw some of this when I was at the Japan Mobility Show. But since we don't get in the United States, I wasn't going to cover it too much. This, my friends, also gets me super excited because Honda makes fantastic hybrids, but they're starting to fall behind, in my opinion, in terms of power efficiency and just overall performance compared to Toyota's hybrids. So let's get into just the basics here with these hybrids. They want to introduce these starting in 2026. Oh man, so we're still waiting 2 more years for these next gen hybrids, but at least they're coming. And Honda needs them because Honda can't fuel this $64 billion investment. That's what we're talking about today from now until end of fiscal year 2030. So that's March of 2031. $64 billion on the backs of motorcycles and hybrids that are funding it mainly. All right, anyways, renewed eHEV system, Honda's original 2-motor hybrid system will be lighter and more efficient. So they're doubling down and refining the hybrid systems that we currently have. This is a little bit different than Toyota's. Honda's typically act more as a series hybrid instead of a parallel hybrid. It's like 95% a series hybrid where the engine rarely directly powers the wheels unless you're at highway speeds, and then it has a clutch system that can kind of connect the engine to the wheels. But we will also be getting renewed platforms with more efficient and shared by more models. So we talked about, or Honda kind of showed this earlier here, is that these platforms are kind of going to be shared between hybrids and battery electric. So at least some of the technology there, and they'll be coming off the same assembly lines. The other slide here for hybrids is all-wheel drive. Finally, freak Honda. Finally, you're doing this. Now, some people love the traditional transfer case to a drive shaft to the rear differential, but it adds weight, it adds more maintenance. Therefore, they're not as efficient with the added weight. Okay. Some people like this because you can have true super handling all-wheel drive in theory, or whatever Honda calls it, EVTM, IVTM4, or whatever. It's not the way to go for hybrids. We're talking about efficiency here. Let's talk about finally putting a rear drive unit in the back. So we're now going to have an e-axle back there powering the rear wheels in the Honda hybrids. And this would be easy to implement in a Civic hybrid in theory. I mean, we're going to be waiting a while, at least 2026 for that, right? But an Accord hybrid finally getting all-wheel drive. And then the SUVs like the HR-V and the CR-V getting rear drive units. I don't know what the future is for Honda with large platform vehicles and hybrids. Pilot, Odyssey, especially those 2 models, and Ridgeline and Passport. There's just no talk about hybrids on those models, while Hyundai, Kia, and Toyota are just like, we got this figured out. Our stuff is pretty scalable, and Toyota's the king right now of hybrids. Hyundai will be coming with a next-gen hybrid system in the next couple of years as well, which will be much more capable to either match or surpass what Toyota is doing right now anyways. But it looks like Honda will finally be able to catch up in some ways to Toyota, at least with efficiency would be my guess. But time will tell. I have no idea how efficient these will be. They don't give us any percentages or anything like that, or power improvements. But it is good that we'll have a next-gen hybrid from Honda. In 2030, Honda wants to sell 2 million EVs. That includes fuel cells. 2035, they want to be 80% fully electrified. And by 2040, they will be 100%. They always see EVs, battery electrics, as short-distance vehicles. Fuel cell mainly as commercial vehicles. And then e-fuels and other technologies will be for their eVTOLs, the jets, the cargo ships. They call our current market the early days of EVs, the first age of electrification. And then after 2030 or the late 2020s even, we'll have the popularization period for EVs, says Toshihiro Mibe, president of Honda. In 2026, they will launch the Zero series, but over in China, they'll have the Ya series and many vehicles over in Japan too that are battery electric. They'll also have lots of advancement in internal combustion and mainly hybrids. So we'll talk about what they're planning there today as well. Thin, light, and wise is definitely their philosophy with their EVs, starting with the Zero series. They will reduce procurement costs of batteries by 20% by establishing a vertically integrated value chain in Canada. We heard about that last month. They also plan to reduce overall costs, production costs anyways, by 35%. We'll dive a little bit more into that as we go on. Okay, and this is very similar to what Toyota is doing with their gigacasted vehicles. Will Honda be gigacasting the front and the rear? Well, we know they are for sure gigacasting the battery pack halves, or should I say the structure of the battery pack. They'll be using these massive casting machines, not only in Japan, but here in the United States to cast the two halves of the battery pack. But they will have one of the thinnest batteries in the world. That's what Toyota is trying to do with their next-gen EVs as well. We'll see that first on Lexus models. But there's no mention of Acura here at all, which is interesting, but think of them as just kind of having their own models separate. And even Sony Honda Mobility having their own models separate from what we'll see today. So just like the Lexus models, we'll see a 10% reduction in height. Now, I know why they're doing this. They're doing it for efficiency to get better range. And also these vehicles are going to be sitting so low to the ground. People like crossovers right now. I know they're trying to make vehicles more efficient, but my wife, for example, she doesn't like driving her Prius as much anymore because it sits lower to the ground than the van, and she feels like she can't see as well. It's a safety thing for her, and she's not a very tall person. So she just feels compromised in sedans compared to vans or crossovers or SUVs and trucks. So I wonder what, and this is going to affect Lexus as well, I wonder what the interest will be on these very low to the ground EVs. Anyways, they're developing next-gen compact e-axles. Toyota's doing that through their Blue Nexus collaboration as well. We'll have a 10% shorter overhang. I mean, that overhang is next to nothing. If you watched my video on the ZDX from Acura, the overhangs there are pretty much nothing as well. So anyways, let's keep moving. It looks like these EVs will have more width compared to previous models, or should I say gas models. And they're saying even though these things are low to the ground, lower roofs as well, you'll still have better visibility. But I'm telling you, where I live, I have medians that are just covered with hedges, and I wouldn't be able to see over the hedges probably in these new EVs from Honda, Lexus, etc. So I wonder again what the interest will be in the United States for these. Even though they're made in the United States, these will all be made in the United States for Honda, and they'll ship them globally. All right, so they'll be reducing weight by about 220 pounds or 100 kilograms compared to initial Honda EVs. And since the e-axles are smaller here, it seems like you'll have a better center of gravity now. And we'll see this sort of technology, of course, in that saloon vehicle coming in 2026. Now, they're saying the vehicle control is much better with these e-axles. The vehicles rotate a lot better. I mean, I don't know who drives like this, but yeah, anyways, highly efficient power units that are shrunken down, and they're going to be boasting new aerodynamic technology, of course, and they are claiming they'll have the top efficiency for electricity with the highly efficient power motor unit. And Honda's pouring in the technology that they've learned through motorsports activities like F1, like IndyCar, etc. They're saying they want to have more than 300 miles of range in the EPA cycle with the Honda medium-size 0 Series, but I would say that's also the case for their large models. So the Space Hub concept that's kind of look like an MPV / minivan sort of thing, that's this star, I would assume, for the large size models, and then the saloon and sedan models will be here with very impressive efficiency. So more than 300 miles of range. What they want to focus on is efficiency, not maximum range. That might come to bite them because potential buyers might just see range as the most important thing when it comes to battery electrics. But if Honda has super fast charging, that's not that big of a deal. But from how I see it, Honda doesn't want to make these vehicles too expensive. And so you have to maximize efficiency on a smaller battery pack to get that 300 miles of range. I have no idea how much kilowatt hours per vehicle, or should I say per medium-sized model, Honda is going to try to work with here. It almost seems like around 70 kilowatt hours, which is around the 300-mile range. Anyways, time will tell. That's just me hypothesizing. They talk a lot in this about over-the-air stuff, software-defined vehicles, as well as autonomous driving. I don't get that excited over that, so I'm not going to cover that in this video today. So we know Honda is working with LG. They have a joint venture in Ohio together. That's going to be coming online in 2025 and beyond. But from 2028, they're going to be working with their own in-house joint ventures with GS Yuasa for semi-solid state batteries and these other companies as well to build batteries in Canada. And so we'll see next gen batteries as well as cheaper batteries because they will be 100% built in-house with Honda and these other companies. Honda and LG will still continue to work together with their joint venture plant in Ohio. So Honda's hedging their bets, building batteries in the United States as well as Canada, and they will be able to reduce battery procurement costs by 20%. Doing everything in-house. They will be using mega casting and 3D friction stir welding for this structural battery pack. You will also have automated assembly on internal combustion / EV mixed flow line. So they're able to produce both styles of vehicles with a gas engine or just fully electric on the same assembly line, and it is automated. And so that's a big part of reducing costs, is reducing human pay seemingly here. Yeah, this slide here, when they're talking about 35% production costs going down, look at this, utilization of digital twin. That means having a robot mirror human programs, or should I say the human motions are going to be replicated with robots in 2020, the late 2020s, I should say. So this one was pretty interesting to me, the mega casting with the friction stir welding. This will increase production efficiency and reduce investment by combining mega casting and welding technologies all in one. They already have the batteries pretty much planned out for the mid-size EVs and large EVs. We'll talk about compact EVs as well today. The initial 0 Series EVs won't have giga casting on the front and the rear, just on the battery pack casings. But after 2028, from the new EV plant in Canada, they will be building mega castings for the rear of the vehicle and the front of the vehicle. So they'll be about 2 years behind the mega castings or the giga casting, whatever you call, from Toyota. That will be happening in Japan. We'll see if Toyota will do that here in the United States. I assume they will, because of the amount of EVs that will be built here in the United States. So I would only assume giga casting would come to the United States for Toyota as well, probably around the late 2020s where Honda's going to be doing it. But that's about it, other than some nerdy stuff with cash flow and investments. And this was, I think, that sums it up. So very long video today, but the big takeaway is this lineup for Honda electrified vehicles, as well as the next gen hybrid systems coming in 2026. So 2026 is a big time for Honda. Next gen hybrids, next gen EVs with the 0 Series. I cannot wait. The future is bright for Honda, and I cannot wait to see what you guys also have to say down below about this 0 Series lineup. And what do you want from Honda? Do you want plug-in hybrids? I don't know if there's any mention of plug-in hybrids. I don't think there's any mention of plug-in hybrids in this presentation today. Maybe that can come with their second, or should I say their next-gen hybrid systems. I just don't know. So I'll see you guys down below. Have a great day. Long live Honda, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.